Poor boy shelters a stranger, unaware of his true identity. The cold cut like a knife through the south side of Chicago when Tyler Johnson found the elderly man passed out on the doorstep of his shack. At 12 years old, the boy already carried the weight of providing for his grandma Margaret, who had been battling an illness for months, one the doctors at the clinic couldn't identify. On that freezing January early morning, Tyler was returning from another day collecting cans on the streets when he spotted the hunched figure collapsed at his door. The man looked to be in his 70s, with a wild white beard and clothes that had once been fine but were now worn by time. Beside him lay a faded, yellowed cloth bag. "Grandpa. Grandpa, are you okay?" Tyler whispered, gently touching the stranger's shoulder. The old man slowly opened his eyes, confused and shivering from the cold. His blue eyes seemed lost, as if he didn't know where he was. I don't remember how I got here," he murmured weakly, trying to sit up. Tyler glanced around. The alley was empty, only the distant sound of cars on the main avenue breaking the silence of the early morning. His conscience wouldn't let him leave the man out in the cold. "Come on, sir. It's too cold to stay outside," he said, helping the old man to his feet. Tyler's shack was no more than 2 small rooms. In the living area, which also served as a kitchen, his grandma Margaret slept on an improvised bed with an old mattress on the floor. In the tiny bedroom, Tyler had his own thin foam mattress. "Sit here in the chair, Grandpa. I'll heat up some soup for us," Tyler said, pulling out the only plastic chair they had. The old man sat down slowly, still disoriented. Tyler lit the 2-burner stove and set a small pot of water to boil. In the old refrigerator that made more noise than cold, there was only half a pack of instant ramen and a small piece of sausage he'd saved for his grandma's breakfast. "What's your name, Grandpa?" Tyler asked as he prepared the soup. The old man hesitated, rubbing his forehead. "William. My name is William. I'm Tyler, and this is my grandma, Margaret. She's asleep because the medicine she takes makes her really drowsy." William watched as the boy divided the little food he had without hesitation. Something stirred in his chest, a feeling he hadn't known in a long time. When Tyler served the steaming soup into 2 mismatched bowls, giving him the larger one, William felt his eyes grow damp. "Thank you, son. It's been so long since anyone—" His voice faltered. "No need to thank me, Grandpa William. Here, we share what we have." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It helps us a lot as we're just starting out. Now back to the story. As they ate the soup in silence, Tyler noticed something odd about William's hands. Despite the dirt from the streets, they were soft and well kept. His nails, though long, didn't look like those of someone who'd done hard labor all his life, and there was something about the way he held his spoon, a natural elegance that clashed with his homeless appearance. "Grandpa William, do you have family?" Tyler asked as he collected the bowls. William stayed silent for a long moment, his gaze fixed on the small window overlooking the dark alley. "I do, or did. I'm not sure how to explain it," he finally said, bitterness in his voice. "They don't know where you are? They know I left. I don't know if they're looking." Tyler sensed pain in that answer and changed the subject. He arranged some blankets on the broken couch for William to sleep on and headed to his tiny room. But before lying down, he peeked through the door crack and saw the old man staring intently at the worn bag he'd brought with him, as if it held something very important. Throughout the night, Tyler woke several times to the sound of William murmuring in his sleep. Words she couldn't quite understand, strange terms like board of directors, assets, and something about a children's hospital. Once she woke to William shouting, "You can't do this to me." But when she got up to check, the old man had already fallen back into a peaceful sleep. By morning, when Tyler woke, William was already up in the small kitchen, stirring something on the stove. The smell of real coffee filled the air, something Tyler hadn't smelled in months. "Good morning, son. I found a pack of coffee hidden behind the spices and decided to make us some," William said. Tyler was surprised. He was sure there was no coffee left in the house. He stepped closer and saw William holding a $50 bill. "Grandpa, where'd you get that money?" William paused, as if caught doing something wrong. Kept it in my shoe, left over from some spare change. But Tyler noticed William had been barefoot since he arrived, and there were no shoes in sight. Still, he didn't press. If the old man had money and chose to share, who was he to judge? "Grandma Margaret, wake up. Breakfast is ready," Tyler called softly. The elderly woman opened her eyes slowly. At 75, Margaret Johnson had once been a strong woman who raised Tyler from infancy after his parents died in an accident. Now, illness left her weak and confused most of the time. "Tyler? Who is this man?" she asked, eyeing William suspiciously. "It's Grandpa William, Grandma. I found him at our door last night, freezing. I let him stay." Margaret studied William's face for a long moment. There was something familiar in his features, but her memory failed her now. "Good morning, Mrs. Margaret. Pleasure to meet you." "Tyler's been very kind to me," William said, pouring her coffee into one of the few intact cups they had. "He's a good boy. Takes better care of me than some sons out there," Margaret replied, accepting the coffee with trembling hands. William watched the interaction between grandmother and grandson closely. He saw the genuine affection between them, how Tyler adjusted her pillow without being asked, how he checked if she needed her medicine. It was pure, selfless love, so different from what he'd known in his own family. "Tyler, I need to step out today, take care of some things," William said after coffee. "That's fine, Grandpa. The door's always open. Just be careful. Lots of shady folks around." William smiled sadly. If the boy knew how many well-dressed, shady folks he'd faced in his life, he'd be shocked. When William left, carrying only his mysterious bag, Tyler decided to clean the shack. It was Saturday, his day to tidy up and bathe his grandmother. As he swept the small backyard, their neighbor Gladys appeared at the low fence separating their lots. "Tyler, who was that old man who just left your place?" asked the middle-aged woman, always curious about others' lives. "Just a man in need, Mrs. Gladys. I let him stay last night." "Boy, you're too trusting. You can't just take in anyone like that. What if he's dangerous? What if he robs you?" "He seems decent, Mrs. Gladys. I saw him leaving earlier. That man doesn't look homeless, Tyler. His clothes are worn, but not like a beggar's, and he walks so straight like someone important." Tyler stopped sweeping. Gladys had a point. William didn't move like the homeless folks he knew. His posture was upright, almost aristocratic. "Besides," Gladys continued, "I've cleaned offices downtown for 20 years. I know the look of someone who used to have money. His hands, the way he talks. That man was rich once, Tyler. And rich folks don't end up poor overnight without serious trouble along the way." The neighbor's words planted a seed of doubt in Tyler's mind. But when he remembered the sadness in William's eyes when he spoke about his family, he decided that his past didn't matter. What mattered was that he needed help now. William returned in the late afternoon with 2 grocery bags full of food. Tyler's eyes widened at the sight of meat, fresh vegetables, milk, bread, and even some sweets. "Grandpa William, how did you get the money for all this?" "I had a little saved up, my boy, and I wanted to repay your kindness." But Tyler noticed William seemed nervous, glancing at the street as if expecting someone. During dinner, the best meal Tyler and his grandma had had in months, William told vague stories about traveling to different places, but always avoided specific details. "Grandpa William, did you ever live in Chicago before?" Tyler asked. "Yes, a long time ago." "Long time. The city has changed so much I hardly recognize it sometimes." "And what did you do for work?" William hesitated again, that pause Tyler was starting to notice whenever personal questions came up. "I worked in construction, built important things." Margaret, who was more alert that night thanks to the hearty meal, watched William carefully. "Mr. William, you remind me of someone. I can't remember who, but I swear I've seen your face before." William visibly tensed. "Must be a mistake, Mrs. Margaret. I just have one of those ordinary faces." Later, when they went to bed, Tyler heard William whispering on the phone in the backyard. He couldn't make out the words, but the tone sounded like someone giving orders, not asking for help. His curiosity grew even stronger. On Sunday morning, Tyler woke up to noise in the kitchen. William was preparing a breakfast fit for a hotel: fresh bread, butter, jelly, and even fresh squeezed orange juice. "Grandpa, where did all this come from? Did you go out early this morning?" "No, my boy, a friend brought it for me." "What friend?" William seemed increasingly uneasy with the questions. "An old friend who found out where I was." Tyler decided not to push, but his mind buzzed with questions. What kind of homeless person has friends who bring expensive food in the early morning? During lunch, Margaret had a sudden moment of clarity that left her agitated. "William, I remember now," she suddenly exclaimed, startling both men. "Remember what, Grandma?" Tyler asked. "This man. I saw him on TV, years ago. He opened a hospital or something like that. His name was on a big plaque." William's fork clattered onto his plate. "You must be confused, Mrs. Margaret. Your memory sometimes—" "No," she insisted, more agitated. "I remember because I kept thinking he seemed like a good man, helping sick children. William something." Tyler stared at William, who had gone pale. "Grandpa William, is it true? Are you famous?" William abruptly stood from the table. "I need some air," he said, quickly stepping outside. Tyler followed and found William sitting on an old crate, his head in his hands. "Grandpa, what's going on? Why won't you tell me the truth?" William lifted his face and Tyler saw tears in the old man's eyes. "Because I'm afraid, Tyler. Afraid you'll kick me out once you know who I really am." "Why would I do that?" "Because everyone who was supposed to love me abandoned me. Why would you be any different?" The pain in William's voice touched Tyler's heart. The boy sat beside him on the crate. "Grandpa, I don't know what happened in your life before, but I know you're a good person. I've seen how you treat my grandma, how you share food with me. If you want to tell me, I'll listen. If you don't, that's okay too." William looked at that 12-year-old boy who showed more wisdom and compassion than many adults he had known. "My full name is William Blackwood Thompson, and your grandma is right. I used to appear on TV sometimes because I built children's hospitals, many hospitals." Tyler's eyes widened. "Are you rich, sir?" "I was, or technically I still am, but that doesn't matter anymore." "What do you mean it doesn't matter? If you have money, why were you sleeping on the street?" William sighed deeply. "Because my children put me in a retirement home, Tyler. They said I was getting confused and couldn't take care of myself anymore. But the truth is they wanted control of my money." "That's awful," Tyler exclaimed, genuinely outraged. "I ran away from the retirement home 3 weeks ago. I've been wandering the streets ever since, trying to understand how I got to this point, how the children I raised, the ones I loved, could treat me like a burden." Tyler fell silent, processing the information. Then he asked, "Are you going back home?" "What home, son?" "They sold my house, said the money would pay for the retirement home." "That's theft." "Yes, but legal theft. They had power of attorney. I was incapacitated. In truth, I was just sad. Sad because my wife had passed the year before and I felt alone. But they took my sadness for dementia." Tyler felt anger rising in his chest. How could anyone do that to their own father? "Grandpa William, you can get back what's yours. You can sue them." "I could. But it would take years, cost a lot of money they control, and I'd have to prove I'm mentally sound. At 72, after 3 weeks living on the street, do you think it'd be easy to convince a judge?" Tyler understood the dilemma, but one question haunted him. "Grandpa, the money you've been using to buy food—" "I had a secret account. Small compared to what they took, but enough for some things. My wife always told me to keep money no one knew about, for emergencies. She was wise." "Then why don't you use that money to find a place to live?" William looked at Tyler fondly. "Because I've learned something these past few days, son. I'd rather share a thin soup with you and your grandma than eat alone in a luxury apartment. You've given me something my own family never did. You've made me feel wanted for who I am, not what I have." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. William's words touched Tyler deeply, but before he could respond, loud voices came from outside the shack. "Tyler, get out here, boy!" someone shouted. They rushed to the front and saw 2 well-dressed men talking to Gladys. One was younger, around 40, and the other older, probably in his 50s. Both wore expensive suits and carried themselves with authority. "Those are my sons," William whispered, turning pale. "How did they find you?" "They must have hired a private investigator, or someone here recognized me and called the number on the posters." "What posters?" William pointed to a nearby pole where Tyler saw a flyer with William's photo and the words, "Missing. Reward. $10,000. Tyler's stomach dropped. $10,000 was more money than he'd ever see in his life collecting cans. "Grandpa, let's go inside and pretend you're not here," Tyler whispered. "It's no use, son. That woman already told them she saw me." Sure enough, Gladys was pointing at the shack while talking animatedly to the two men. Tyler could see the glint of greed in her eyes as she spoke about the reward. "Tyler," called the younger man, "we want to talk to you." Tyler looked at William, who nodded resignedly. "I'll have to face them sooner or later," the old man said. They stepped out together. Tyler noticed how William's posture changed when he saw his sons. He stood taller, more dignified, as if preparing for battle. "Daddy," said the younger son, Jonathan, feigning relief, "we were so worried. You gave us a terrible scare running off like that from the hospital." "It wasn't a hospital, it was a retirement home," William corrected coldly. "Dad, you know you're confused. The doctor said these episodes can make you forget where you are and get lost," said the older son, Michael. Tyler noticed how they spoke to William as if he were a child, not an adult. "I'm not confused," William said firmly. "I'm perfectly fine, thank you." "Of course you are, Dad," Jonathan said condescendingly. "But you need to come back home where you can be properly cared for." "This is my home now," William replied, surprising his sons. Michael looked around with obvious disdain for the humble shack. "Dad, don't be ridiculous. You can't live in a place like this. Come on, the car is waiting." "I'm not going." "Dad," Jonathan said, trying to sound patient, "you have obligations, important meetings, decisions to make." "What meetings? You took all my responsibilities away. Temporarily for your own good. But now that you're better, now that you realized you need me to sign some important papers, right?" William interrupted bitterly. Tyler watched the exchange, fascinated. He saw the manipulation in William's sons, pretending concern when they clearly just wanted control. "Kid," Michael said, turning to Tyler, "you did a great service taking care of our father. We want to compensate you properly." He pulled a thick wallet from his jacket pocket. "Here's $3,000, a thank you for looking after him." Tyler stared at the money with wide eyes. It was more than he made in a whole year collecting cans. "And if you help us convince him to come home, where he'll be properly cared for, we can give you another $5,000, Jonathan added. $8,000. Tyler's head spun. With that money, he could buy medicine for his grandma, fix up the shack, maybe even go back to school. William watched Tyler's inner conflict with a heavy heart. He knew he couldn't compete with that amount. A poor boy with a sick grandma would do anything for $8,000. "You can take the money, Tyler," William said sadly. "I understand." But Tyler surprised everyone. "I don't want your money," he told Michael. "Kid, don't be stupid. $8,000 could change your life." It already did, when I met Grandpa William. William's sons exchanged irritated glances. "Listen here, boy," Michael said, losing patience. "Our father is sick. He needs medical care you can't provide." "He's not sick. He's sad." "You don't understand anything about this," Jonathan snapped. "You're just a kid." "Maybe, but I know the difference between real love and fake." Tyler's words silenced the two men momentarily. "Grandpa William," Tyler continued, "do you want to go with them?" "No." "Then you're not going. No one can force you." "Actually, they can," Michael said, pulling papers from his pocket. "We have a court order for guardianship. Our father has been declared mentally unfit. We're his legal guardians now." Tyler didn't fully understand the legal terms, but he knew it was serious. "Does that mean you can take him by force?" "If necessary, yes," Jonathan confirmed. Tyler felt desperation rising. He looked at William, who seemed defeated. "Grandpa, what about that money you said you had saved? Can't we hire a lawyer?" They can freeze all my accounts if they find out where the money is, William explained. Then we just won't tell them, Tyler said simply. Michael laughed. Kid, you don't understand how these things work. Our father needs constant medical supervision. That's a lie, Tyler shouted, surprising even himself with his courage. He's fine. He talks normally, remembers everything, and takes better care of Grandma than any nurse. Shut your mouth, brat, Michael growled, showing his true colors. This isn't your business. Michael, William scolded, authority returning to his voice. You don't speak to the boy like that. Oh, now you remember how to be a father. Where was this authority when we needed you after Mum died? You were depressed, stopped eating, stopped showering, stopped leaving the house. I was grieving. You were ruining our business. Clients lost trust. Partners started questioning your decisions. We had to act to protect the family's assets. Tyler saw the naked truth. It wasn't love or concern. It was money. Grandpa William, Tyler said softly, do you really want to stay with me and Grandma Margaret? More than anything in the world. Then let's run away. Jonathan laughed sarcastically. Run where, kid? Dad's a 72-year-old man. He can't play hide and seek. Yes, he can. You just don't know how clever he is. William felt something stir inside him. The boy's unwavering confidence gave him strength he hadn't felt in years. Tyler's right, William said, straightening his shoulders. I'm not going with you. Dad, don't be stubborn. You're coming, whether you like it or not. I'm not, William repeated, stepping to stand beside Tyler. Michael gestured, and Jonathan pulled out his phone. I'll call an ambulance and the police if I have to. Go ahead, Tyler challenged, but by the time they get here, we'll be gone. And go where? You have no money, no place to hide. Tyler looked at William. Grandpa, remember that friend of yours who brought us food? Can he help us? William smiled for the first time since his sons had arrived. Yes, he can, my boy. What friend? Michael asked suspiciously. My lawyer, William replied calmly. Dr. Richard Stern. He's worked with me for 20 years and, unlike you, still treats me with respect. The mention of the lawyer made both sons nervous. Dad, don't drag Richard into this. He can't challenge a court order. Oh, he can, especially when the order was based on false information you gave the judge. Tyler didn't understand all the legal details, but he could see William regaining some of his power. Dr. Richard is already working on my defense, William continued, and he's found some interesting evidence about how you manipulated my emotional state to get the guardianship. What evidence? Jonathan asked nervously. Recordings of your conversations about how to speed things up so the old man gets out of the way. Very interesting. Michael paled. You couldn't have recorded our private talks. I didn't have to. You were dumb enough to discuss it in front of staff at the retirement home, people Dr. Richard has already interviewed. Tyler watched the tables turn. William was taking back control. Besides, William added, I have recent medical documents proving my full mental competence. Dr. Richard arranged all the tests. That's impossible, Jonathan said. You've been on the streets for 3 weeks. And you thought I'd just sit around doing nothing? Did you really think I'd accept what you did to me without a fight? Tyler admired William's strategy. He had used his time on the streets not just to hide, but to prepare for the legal battle. I'll give you one last chance, William said with authority. Leave my property now, and maybe I'll consider not suing you for embezzlement and fraud. What property? Michael mocked. This shack isn't yours. Not yet, but it will be soon. Tyler looked confused at William. What do you mean, Grandpa? I bought this lot and the 2 neighboring ones yesterday, Tyler. In my name and yours, we're partners now. The bombshell William dropped left, everyone speechless. Tyler couldn't process the information. Grandpa, are you serious? Completely. Dr. Richard handled all the paperwork. You're now the legal owner of half of all this. William's sons were furious. This is insane, Michael shouted. You can't just give properties to this kid. I can, and I did. And if you try to challenge it, you'll have to prove in court that I'm mentally incompetent. Good luck explaining to a judge how a senile man managed complex real estate negotiations while you were searching for him. Tyler was stunned. Grandpa, I can't accept this. Yes, you can. You saved me, Tyler. Gave me a real family. Now let me repay you. Dad, Jonathan tried one last plea. You're being manipulated by this boy. He just wants your money. William laughed bitterly. He turned down $8,000 to hand me over to you. If he wanted my money, he would have taken it. It was only $8,000. You're talking about properties worth way more. Exactly. And this boy showed more character in 3 days than you have in 30 years. Michael moved aggressively toward William, but Tyler stepped in front. Don't touch Grandpa William, the boy said, small but determined. The sight of the 12-year-old protecting the elderly man moved William deeply. You know what? William said to his sons. You can leave. You don't need me, and I don't need you. Tyler and Mrs. Margaret are my family now. You'll regret this, old man, Michael threatened. We'll contest everything in court. Be my guest. Dr. Richard is eager to present all the evidence we've gathered about your misconduct. The two men stormed off, but Tyler noticed William was shaking. Grandpa, are you okay? I am, son. It was just hard facing them after feeling powerless for so long. You were amazing, like a general commanding a battle. William smiled sadly. That's what I did for 40 years in business. I just never thought I'd have to use those skills against my own sons. They went back inside the shack where Margaret was waiting anxiously. Tyler, who were those men? Why were they shouting? They were Grandpa William's sons, Grandma. But it's all settled now. William sat beside Margaret and took her trembling hands. Mrs. Margaret, may I ask you something? Of course, Mr. William. Would you accept me as part of this family? The elderly woman's eyes filled with tears. It would be an honor, my son. Tyler needs a grandfather, and I need someone to share the responsibility of caring for him. And I need both of you to remind me what real love is. Tyler's heart overflowed with emotion. In 3 days, his life had completely changed. Grandpa William, about this property thing, were you serious? William nodded and pulled some papers from his old bag. Dead serious. Yesterday when I left, I met with Dr. Richard. He helped me arrange everything. This lot, the two next to it, and a bank account with enough money to build a proper home for the three of us. Tyler looked at the papers without understanding many of the difficult words, but saw his name written several times. But Grandpa, how did you know I'd want to stay here? You barely knew me. Tyler, when you found me at your doorstep and shared the only soup you had without asking a single question, I knew I'd found something rare, genuine kindness. And when I saw how you care for your grandma, I knew I wanted to be part of this family. Margaret, despite her weakness, managed to stand up and hug William. Welcome to the family, son. The three of them embraced, but the moment was interrupted by a knock at the door. Tyler tensed, thinking it was William's sons returning, but a polite voice introduced itself. Mr. William, I'm Dr. Richard Stern. William opened the door to an elegant man in his 60s with graying hair and gold-rimmed glasses. Richard, come in, come in. Good afternoon, Mr. William. I've brought the final documents and... To meet your new family, the lawyer said with a warm smile. Tyler felt shy in front of the well-dressed man, but Dr. Richard spoke to him respectfully. You must be Tyler. Your grandfather has told me a lot about you. It's a pleasure to meet you. Likewise, Doctor. I've brought the construction documents, Dr. Richard said, pulling out a folder. The company can start on Monday if you'd like. What construction? Tyler asked. William smiled. We're tearing down this shack and building a real house. 3 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms, a large living room, a modern kitchen, and a clinic to care for your grandma and other neighbors in need. Tyler could barely breathe. Grandpa, is this for real? Tyler, Dr. Richard said, I know it's hard to believe, but your grandfather is a very wealthy man, and more importantly, he's a very good man. If he's decided you're his family, rest assured he'll take care of you better than many biological children would. Speaking of which, William said, how are things with my sons? Complicated. They've filed a lawsuit to void the property transfers, claiming they were made during a psychotic episode. Tyler grew worried. Can they win? No, Dr. Richard said confidently, especially not after the evidence we've gathered. And there's more. 2 retirement home employees have offered to testify about conversations they overheard between your sons about speeding up your departure. William grimaced. I always knew they were greedy, but I never imagined they'd be so blatant. Greedy people are often careless, Dr. Richard observed, but we have another problem. What? They hired a private investigator who discovered your secret account. They'll try to freeze the funds, claiming you hid them during the guardianship proceedings. William sighed. Can they? Possibly. That's why I suggest we speed up a few things. The sooner we establish your new life here, the harder it'll be for them to challenge it. What do you mean? Tyler asked. Well, Tyler, how would you feel if your grandfather William legally adopted you? That way you'd become family in the eyes of the law. Tyler looked at William with shining eyes. You'd do that? Tyler, nothing would make me prouder than being your official grandfather. And even if my sons managed to dispute other things, they could never separate you from me. Margaret clapped weakly. What joy, a real family. And there's more, Dr. Richard continued. We can include Mrs. Margaret in the adoption too. That way she'd have all the legal rights as a great-grandmother. Is that possible? Tyler asked. Given your special circumstances, yes, especially since Mrs. Margaret is your only family, and Mr. William wants to take responsibility for both of you. Tyler couldn't believe what he was hearing. In 3 days he had gained a grandpa, a new house, and now a wonderful family. Grandpa William, why are you doing all this for us? William knelt in front of Tyler, meeting him at eye level. Tyler, when I found you at your door that night, I was lost, not just physically but spiritually. I had lost faith in people, in love, in family. You and your grandma gave all of that back to me. You saved me far more than I could ever save you. But Grandpa, we didn't do anything special. Yes, you did. You loved me without knowing who I was, without expecting anything in return. That's the most special thing in the world. Dr. Richard discreetly wiped his glasses, clearly moved. Well, if you're all decided, I'll file the adoption papers today. And I'll also speed up the construction of the new house. Dr. Richard, Tyler said shyly, can I ask you something? Of course, Tyler. Why are you helping us like this? Grandpa William said you've worked with him for 20 years, but... Dr. Richard smiled. Tyler, I've known your grandpa for a long time. I've seen him build children's hospitals for those in need, daycare centers for working mothers, schools in poor neighborhoods, always using his own money, never seeking publicity. And I've seen how his children always criticized this waste of money, as they called it. So Grandpa William has always been generous? Always. And when he called me from the street telling me he'd found a family who truly loved him, I knew I had to help, because he'd finally found people who deserved his kindness. William grew embarrassed by the praise. Richard, don't exaggerate. I'm not. Tyler, your grandpa has donated over $50 million to social causes in his lifetime, and his children hated every cent he gave away. Tyler looked at William with renewed admiration. 50 million? It was my money. I could do what I wanted with it, William said modestly. And he always wanted to keep helping, but now he wants to do it differently, Dr. Richard added. He wants to help up close, seeing the results, being part of the community. How so? Tyler asked. William glanced around the small shack and then out the window facing the alley. Tyler, how many families in this neighborhood struggle like you did? Almost all of them, Grandpa. Then what if we created something to help? A community health clinic, a school, a library? Tyler's eyes widened. You'd do that? We'd do it. Together. You know the neighborhood's needs better than I do. You can help me understand where the money can make the most difference. Dr. Richard grinned. Actually, Mr. William, I already have some ideas about that. He pulled more papers from his briefcase. I've researched this neighborhood. There are 5,000 families here, 90% earning less than 2 minimum wages. There's no health clinic, the nearest school is 2 kilometers away, and there are no recreational spaces for children. Exactly the problems I see every day, Tyler confirmed. What if we change that? William asked. Would you help me plan a social project for the neighborhood? Tyler felt like he was dreaming. Me, but I don't know anything about that. Yes, you do. You understand need, solidarity, love for others. That's more important than any degree. Margaret, who had been listening quietly, spoke with emotion in her voice. "Tyler, say yes. Your Grandpa William is an angel God sent to our family." "No, Mrs. Margaret," William corrected. "You're the angels. I'm just an old man lucky enough to find a real family." Dr. Richard put the papers back in his briefcase. "Well, I'll let you all discuss the next steps, but I need to know, do you want me to speed up the adoption?" "Yes," answered Tyler and William at the same time, making everyone laugh. "Great. And the house construction?" "That too," said William. "But I want Tyler to be part of every decision. It's his house too." After Dr. Richard left, the three of them sat in silence for a moment, processing everything that had happened. "Grandpa William," Tyler finally said, "I still can't believe all of this is real." "It's real, my boy, and it's going to get even better." "How?" William picked up one of the papers Dr. Richard had left behind. "Tyler, how about you go back to school? Not just any school, but a good private one where you can reach your full potential." Tyler looked at his grandmother. "What about Grandma Margaret? Who's going to take care of her?" "I will," said William, "and we'll hire a nurse to help when I can't be here." "Grandpa, I want to study, but I don't want to leave Grandma alone." "You won't. We'll arrange it so you can study in the morning and be with her in the afternoon, and on weekends, the three of us will do things together." Margaret held Tyler's hand. "My grandson, take this chance. It's what I've always dreamed of for you." "Are you sure, Grandma?" "Absolutely. And you know why? Because now I know you'll have the best grandfather in the world to look after you when I'm gone." Her words touched everyone deeply. "Grandma, don't talk like that." "Tyler, I'm 75 years old and have a serious illness. I know my days are numbered, but now I can go in peace, knowing you'll have a family who loves you." William stepped closer to Margaret. "Mrs. Margaret, with all due respect, no one's going anywhere anytime soon. We'll take care of you. Get the best doctors, the best treatments. Your family still has plenty of time together." "You really mean that?" "Completely. I've already asked Dr. Richard to look for the best specialists in Chicago. On Monday, you'll see the top geriatrician in the city." Tyler threw his arms around William. "Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for everything. Thank you, my boy, for teaching me what real love is." Dear listener, if you're enjoying the story, don't forget to like and especially subscribe to the channel. It really helps us who are just starting out. Now, continuing. The following Monday, the little family's life changed drastically. A construction crew arrived early to start demolishing the old shack while they moved temporarily to an apartment William rented 2 blocks away. Tyler woke up on his first morning in a real bed with a soft pillow and warm blanket. For a moment, he thought it had all been a wonderful dream. But when he heard William humming in the kitchen while making breakfast, he knew it was real. "Good morning, my boy," William said cheerfully when Tyler appeared in the kitchen. "Sleep well?" "Better than ever in my life, Grandpa." "Great, because today's a big day. We're enrolling you in your new school." Tyler grew nervous. "Grandpa, what if I can't keep up? I'm already 2 years behind because of work." "Tyler, you're a very smart boy. I've seen how quickly you calculate the money from the cans, how you understand adult conversations, how you care for your grandmother. You've got the brains. You just needed the opportunity. What if the other kids don't like me? They probably live very different lives." William sat beside Tyler at the table. "My boy, you have something many rich kids don't. Character. You know the value of things. You know what hard work is. You know what real love is. That'll make you stand out in the best way." "You really think so?" "I'm sure of it. And remember, you're not alone anymore. If anyone treats you badly, you can count on me." Margaret walked into the kitchen, steadier on her feet than Tyler had seen her in months. The new medications prescribed by the private doctor were working quickly. "Good morning, family," she said with more energy in her voice. "Grandma, you look so much better," exclaimed Tyler, hugging her. "It's the miracle of the right medicine," she said, kissing her grandson. "And happiness. There's no better medicine than happiness." During breakfast, William explained the day's schedule. "First, we'll go to the school for your enrollment, Tyler, then to the notary's office to sign some adoption papers. In the afternoon, we'll visit the lot to check on the construction." "What about me?" asked Margaret. "You're coming with me for everything. I won't leave Tyler's new great-grandma alone." The private school, St. Patrick's Academy, was a whole new world for Tyler. Tall buildings, well-kept gardens, students in impeccable uniforms arriving in expensive cars. "Grandpa, I won't fit in here," Tyler whispered as they walked through the courtyard. "Yes, you will, and you know why? Because you're better than most of these kids. They have privilege, but you have substance." The principal, Sister Mary, greeted them personally. She was a woman in her 50s with graying hair tied in a bun and a kind expression. "Mr. William Blackwood," she said with obvious surprise. "What an honor to have you at our school." "Sister Mary, the pleasure is mine. This is my grandson, Tyler, and this is my daughter-in-law, Mrs. Margaret." Tyler noticed how William introduced them naturally as family without mentioning adoption or complicated explanations. "Tyler will be our new 7th grade student," William continued. The principal studied Tyler carefully but without judgment. "Tyler, welcome to our school. I'm sure you'll do very well here." "Thank you, sister." "Mr. William, may I have a word with you in private?" William nodded and asked Tyler and Margaret to wait in the lobby. "Mr. William," Sister Mary said when they were alone, "I read the documentation your lawyer sent. It's a very touching story." "Tyler is a special boy, sister. He has a pure heart and impressive natural intelligence." "I don't doubt it, but I want to assure you he won't face discrimination here. We have students from different socio-economic backgrounds, and our philosophy is to treat everyone equally." "I appreciate that, sister, but Tyler knows how to stand up for himself. He has an inner strength many adults don't. I see it in his eyes. There's a maturity there that's rare in 12-year-olds. Life forced him to grow up fast. Now I want him to have the chance to be a child too. We'll take good care of him, Mr. William. You can count on that." When they returned home after the successful enrollment, Tyler was nervous but excited. "Grandpa, the school is really beautiful, and Sister Mary seems nice." "She's an excellent educator. You'll learn a lot there." "What about the other kids? I'll meet them tomorrow." "You'll make friends quickly," said Margaret. "You've always been charismatic." "Grandma, I've never had friends my age." "Because you never had the chance, now you will." In the afternoon, they visited the lot where their new house was being built. Tyler was amazed by the size of the construction. It wasn't just a house, it was almost a small mansion. "Grandpa, isn't this too big for just the 3 of us?" "Tyler, this house will be the center of a bigger project. We'll host visitors, meetings, people from the community. We need space." The engineer in charge of the project, Mr. Robert, showed them the plans. "This will be the main living room, 50 square feet. The kitchen will be fully modern with a center island. 3 suites, 1 for each of you." "And this here?" Tyler asked, pointing to a large room in the back. "Ah, that's Mr. Williams' special project, a fully equipped medical clinic to serve the community for free." Tyler looked at William in surprise. "You never told me about that." "I wanted it to be a surprise. We're bringing a doctor to live in the neighborhood and care for all the families in need." "Grandpa, you're amazing." "We're amazing, Tyler. This is our project, remember?" In the following days, Tyler Johnson's routine changed completely. He woke up at 6 in the morning, had breakfast with his family, and went to school in an impeccable uniform in the car William had hired with a driver. On his first day of class, Tyler was nervous as he entered the 7th grade classroom. 30 children stared at him curiously when the teacher introduced him. "Class, this is Tyler Johnson, our new student. I'm sure you'll all make him feel welcome." Tyler sat at a desk in the middle of the room. During recess, some classmates approached him. "Tyler, where are you from?" asked a blonde boy named Brandon. "From the Hope Gardens neighborhood." "Wow, that's far. Do you come by car?" "I do." "What kind of car do your parents have?" Tyler hesitated. He didn't know how to explain his complicated family situation. "I live with my grandpa," he said simply. "Cool. My grandparents are awesome too," said a girl named Emily. "They always give me expensive gifts." Tyler realized his classmates came from very wealthy families, but it didn't intimidate him. He remembered William's words about having substance. During math class, the teacher wrote a complex problem on the board. Several students struggled, but Tyler solved it quickly. "Very good, Tyler," said the teacher. "You have a knack for numbers." "Thank you, ma'am. I've always had to calculate things at home. By the end of the day, Tyler was excited to share the news with William and Margaret. "How was school, son?" William asked when Tyler got home. "It was great, Grandpa. The teachers are nice and I've already made some friends." "That's wonderful. And your classes?" "Some are hard because I missed a lot of time without studying. But math was easy." "Of course it was. You've always been sharp with numbers." "Grandpa, can I ask you something?" "Of course. Why did you choose to adopt me? There were so many people you could have helped." William sat beside Tyler on the new sofa. "Tyler, do you remember the first night you took me in?" "Of course. You shared the only soup you had with me. You didn't ask questions, didn't wonder if I deserved it. You just saw I needed help and helped. Anyone would have done that." "No, son. Any good person would have done that. And when I saw how you cared for your grandma, how you worked since you were little to support your family, how you had character at 12 years old, I knew you were special. But Grandpa, I didn't do anything extraordinary." "Tyler, you saved me. When I found you, I was losing faith in humanity. I thought there were only selfish people like my own children. You proved to me there's still goodness in the world." Tyler was moved. "And now? Don't you miss your old life?" "Miss what? An empty mansion? Children who only called when they needed money? Staff who pretended to like me?" "But you had comfort, luxury." "Tyler, real comfort is this. Coming home and knowing I'm loved for who I am, not what I have. It's having a family that truly cares about me." Margaret joined them on the sofa. "William is right, Tyler. Family isn't about sharing the same blood. It's about sharing the same heart." "Grandma, are you really feeling better?" "Much better, my grandson. The medicine is working and happiness is healing the rest." "Dr. Richard called today," said William. "Your grandma's tests showed significant improvement. She's going to live many more years." Tyler hugged his grandma tightly. "That's great, Grandma. I thought I was going to lose you." "Not anymore, son. Now we have a whole family to take care of each other." A week later, Dr. Richard arrived with big news. "The adoption was approved," he announced happily. "Tyler and Mrs. Margaret are officially part of Mr. Williams' family now." Tyler couldn't contain his joy. "Really, Doctor? It's official?" "Completely official. And there's more. I managed to permanently lift Mr. Williams' legal incapacitation. The judge recognized it was based on false information." "And my children?" William asked. "They'll have to return everything they took illegally. The house they sold, the money they transferred, everything." "I don't want any of it back, Richard." "I know, but the law requires it. Besides, they'll have to pay a substantial fine for embezzlement." Tyler was confused. "Grandpa, why don't you want your things back?" "Because those things remind me of an empty life, Tyler. I'd rather build a new one with you than go back to the past." "Are you sure?" "Absolutely. The money I get back will go entirely into the neighborhood social project." Dr. Richard smiled. "Speaking of which, I have the architect's proposals for the community center." He opened a folder with detailed blueprints. "Here's what we have: a health clinic with 3 exam rooms, a community pharmacy, a community library, a daycare center for 50 kids, a sports court, and an auditorium for 100 people. Tyler studied the plans in awe. "All of this will be free for people in the neighborhood?" "Completely free," William confirmed. "And you'll help me run it when you're a little older." "Me? But I don't know how to manage anything." "You'll learn. I'll teach you everything I know about business, about helping people, about using money to do good." "Grandpa, what if I'm not smart enough?" William laughed. "Tyler, you were smart enough to save me when I was lost. You're smart enough to save many others too." 2 months later, the new house was ready. It was even more beautiful than Tyler had imagined. 3 spacious bedrooms, a huge living room with a fireplace, a modern kitchen straight out of a magazine, a backyard with a garden and a pool. "Grandpa, this looks like something from a TV show," Tyler said as he explored the rooms. "It's your home, Tyler. Our home. Can I decorate my room?" "You can decorate the whole house if you want." Tyler ran to hug William. "Thank you for everything, Grandpa, for giving me a family, a home, a chance to study." Thank you for giving me a reason to live. Margaret, who had improved so much she could now walk without trouble, explored the new kitchen with shining eyes. Tyler, come see this beautiful stove. We're going to make so many good meals in here. Grandma, you really are doing so much better. I feel brand new, my boy. The doctor said it was mostly depression and poor nutrition. Now that I'm happy and eating well, my body responded. I'm so glad I won't lose you. Not anytime soon. I still want to see you graduate, get married, have kids so I can be a real great grandma. Grandma? William laughed at the exchange between grandmother and grandson. Margaret's right, Tyler. We have plenty of time ahead to build so many memories together. That night, their first in the new house, the three of them sat in the big living room to talk. Grandpa William, Tyler said, can I ask you something serious? Of course. Don't you feel angry at your kids? William thought for a moment. I feel sadness, Tyler. Sadness because they lost the chance to know real love. Anger hurts the person feeling it more than the one who caused the pain. They were so awful to you. They were. But if I stay angry, I'll ruin the happiness I have now with you two. And you deserve a happy grandfather, not a bitter one. You're really wise, Grandpa. Age teaches you a few things, my boy. One of the biggest is that forgiving is good for the one who forgives, not necessarily the one being forgiven. Margaret nodded. William's right, Tyler. I learned this when I lost your parents. I could have been angry at fate, but I chose to be grateful for having you to care for. And now we're all together, said Tyler. A real family. The best family I could ask for, agreed William. Grandpa, when the community center is finished, so many people in the neighborhood will benefit. That's the goal. I want our neighborhood to become an example of how a community can help itself. And I'll help you with everything. Yes, you will. But first, you'll study hard, graduate, and learn everything you need to become a true leader. Do you really think I can be a leader? Tyler, you already are one. I've seen how the neighbors respect you, how they trust you. That's natural leadership. But I'm just a kid with the soul of an adult. And when you grow up, you'll be an adult with the heart of a child. That's the perfect combination. 3 months later, the community center opened. Tyler couldn't believe how many people showed up for the celebration. The health clinic was already running with 2 doctors and a nurse. The library had received a donation of 5,000 books. The daycare had a waiting list of 100 children. Grandpa, look at all these happy people, said Tyler, watching families explore the new facilities. It's what money can do when used with love, replied William. And this is just the beginning, right? Exactly. Now we'll work to bring even more improvements. A community bakery, vocational workshops, computer classes. Tyler saw Mrs. Gladys, the neighborhood gossip, approaching with an embarrassed smile. Mr. William, Tyler, I want to apologize. Apologize for what, Mrs. Gladys? Asked Tyler. For speaking badly when you first arrived. For trying to turn Mr. William over to his children for money. William smiled kindly. Mrs. Gladys, all is forgiven. I understand that need sometimes makes people act without thinking. You're too good. And Tyler, you're a special boy. You knew how to protect those who deserved it. Tyler flushed at the praise. I just did what I thought was right, Mrs. Gladys. That's exactly why you're special. During the celebration, many neighbors came to express their thanks. Mothers spoke about how the health clinic had saved their children. Young people were excited about the free courses being offered. Grandpa, Tyler said at the end of the day, you've changed so many lives. We changed them, Tyler. This is our project, remember? How can you be so generous? William looked at Tyler fondly. Tyler, when you have a lot of money, you can choose to spend it on things or on happiness. Things break, get lost, go out of style. But the happiness of helping others lasts forever. And helping makes you happy? I'm the happiest man in the world. I have a family who loves me, a community that respects me, and a chance to make a difference in people's lives. I want to be just like you when I grow up. No, Tyler, I want you to be better than me. Learn from my mistakes and successes and build your own path to doing good. That night, Tyler had trouble sleeping, not from worry, but from excitement for the future. 6 months ago, He was a poor boy collecting cans to support his sick grandma. Now he had a family, a home, a good education, and the chance to help transform an entire community. When he finally fell asleep, he dreamed of a future where Hope Gardens would be known throughout Chicago as an example of solidarity and social progress. The next morning, Tyler woke to the sound of laughter in the kitchen. William and Margaret were preparing a special breakfast. "Good morning, family," Tyler said cheerfully. "Good morning, son," they replied in unison, making everyone laugh. "You're in a good mood today," Tyler observed. "It's because we have a surprise for you," William said mysteriously. "What surprise?" Margaret pulled an envelope from the drawer. "It arrived yesterday afternoon, after you went to sleep." Tyler opened the envelope and took out a beautiful certificate. "Certificate of Honor for Academic Excellence," Tyler read aloud. "First in your class for the first semester." William and Margaret clapped. "Congratulations, my grandson," Margaret said proudly. "Tyler, I'm so proud of you," William said, hugging the boy. "Grandpa, I can't believe I got first in the class. I always knew you could. You have a brilliant mind. But the other boys have been studying much longer than me. Tyler, you have something they don't: determination. You understand the value of the opportunity you've been given." Tyler carefully put the certificate away. "Grandpa, can I tell you something?" "Of course." "Some boys at school are curious about our family. They want to come visit." "That's wonderful. Our home is always open to your friends." "But I didn't tell them you're rich. I just said you're my grandpa who takes good care of me." William smiled. "Why didn't you tell them?" "Because I want them to like me for who I am, not for the money we have." "Tyler, that's incredibly wise. You're right to think that way. What if they find out? If they find out and change how they act, they weren't true friends. True friends love the person, not what they have. Like you and Grandma Margaret love me?" "Exactly like we love you." Margaret joined the hug. "Tyler, you're our treasure. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor, smart or not. You'll always be our dear boy. You're my treasures too, the best grandparents anyone could have." "Even though we're not your blood grandparents?" William asked. "Especially because of that. You chose me out of love, not obligation." Tyler's words touched William deeply. He thought of his own children who, despite being blood relatives, had never shown the affection Tyler did every day. "Tyler," William said, his voice emotional, "you've taught me what it really means to be a grandfather." "What do you mean, Grandpa?" "Being a grandfather isn't just about giving gifts or money. It's about giving attention, love, and guidance. It's being there for the important moments. It's celebrating achievements and comforting in hard times. You always do that for me, and you always give me reasons to. Every accomplishment of yours, like this certificate, fills me with pride." "And Grandma Margaret too," Tyler added, looking at her. "Of course," Margaret said. "You're my greatest joy, Tyler. Watching you grow, study, become a good man, and there's no greater happiness for a grandmother. Grandma, when I'm grown up, I'll take care of you like you took care of me." "You don't have to, my grandson. Just be happy and be a good person. That's more than enough for me." "But I want to take care of you, and Grandpa William too." William laughed. "Tyler, if you keep growing like this, we'll be the ones who need looking after." "Why do you say that?" "Because you're already more mature and responsible than many adults I know. It's what life has taught me. And now life will teach you other things: how to be a child, how to play, how to dream." "I know how to dream, Grandpa. I dream of the day our community will be the best in Chicago." "That's a beautiful dream, Tyler, and I believe it will come true." "You really think so?" "I'm sure of it. With dedication, planning, and a lot of love, we can transform any place." During breakfast, the phone rang. William answered and spoke quietly for a few minutes. "Who was it, Grandpa?" Tyler asked when William returned to the table. "It was Dr. Richard. My children have finally given up contesting the adoption and the properties." "They gave up? Why?" "Because they realized they didn't stand a chance of winning, and deep down, they know they did the wrong thing." "And now? Will they try to get close to you again?" William was thoughtful. "I don't know, Tyler, and to be honest, it doesn't matter anymore." "What do you mean it doesn't matter?" because now I have a family that truly loves me. If they want to be part of this family, they'll have to prove they've changed. If they don't, life goes on. Margaret nodded. William is right, Tyler. Life is too short to waste time on people who don't value us. Grandma, would you forgive them if they apologized? I'd forgive, but I wouldn't forget. Forgiveness is one thing, trust is another. Tyler reflected on his grandparents' words. You two are so wise. I still feel angry when I remember what they did to Grandpa William. Tyler, said William, anger is normal, but it can't control your life. Use that anger as motivation to be a better person, to treat the people you love well. That's what I'll do, Grandpa. I know you will. You have a good heart, Tyler, and good hearts always find the right path. A year later, Tyler was unrecognizable. He had grown several inches, gained healthy weight, and carried himself like a confident young man. His grades in school remained excellent, and he had made many friends. The community center was running smoothly and had become a model for the south side of Chicago. Tyler was actively involved in its activities, helping organize events and suggesting improvements. Grandpa, Tyler said one Saturday afternoon, can I make a proposal? Of course, son. What if we created a scholarship program for the kids in the neighborhood? William smiled. Explain your idea further. Well, there are a lot of smart boys and girls here who can't afford to go to a good school. If we paid their tuition, they could have the same opportunities I had. Tyler, that's a brilliant idea. You think so? I do, and I already know how to make it happen. I'll talk to Sister Mary about reserving spots for underprivileged kids from the neighborhood. Really, you'd do that? Tyler, this idea shows how much you've grown. You're thinking about using our resources to multiply opportunities. That's true leadership. Tyler felt proud of the praise. I learned from you, Grandpa. You learned, but the initiative was yours, and that's what matters most. Grandpa, can I ask you something personal? Of course. Do you miss anything from your old life? William thought for a moment. I miss my wife, your Grandma Elizabeth. She would have loved to meet you and Margaret. What was she like? A lot like you, actually. She had a generous heart, cared about others, always wanted to help those in need. Did she support your social projects? She did more than support. She participated. Elizabeth was the one who came up with the idea for the first children's hospital. She said kids were the future and deserved the best care. Tyler smiled. She sounds like she was a special person. She was. And I'm sure she'd be so proud to see how you've grown. Do you think she'd approve of our family? Tyler, she'd adore you all. Elizabeth always said family isn't just who you're born with, but who you choose to stay with. Like we chose to stay together. Exactly. And look how it turned out, the happiest family I could have imagined. Margaret, who had been listening from the kitchen, joined them. What are you two talking about? About Grandma Elizabeth, Grandma. Grandpa William was telling me what she was like. She must have been a wonderful woman to have raised a man as good as William. Thank you, Margaret. But Elizabeth would say the credit is all ours for building this beautiful family. Grandpa, Tyler said, when I get married and have kids, I want them to know you both. I want them to hear the story of how we became a family. It's going to be a beautiful story to tell, my grandson, said Margaret, moved. And when they ask why we chose each other, continued Tyler, I'll say it's because true love recognizes true love. William hugged Tyler tightly. Tyler, you have no idea how special you are. In 2 years, you've completely transformed my life. We transformed it, Grandpa. All of our lives. That night, William was in his office organizing papers when Tyler knocked on the door. Can I come in, Grandpa? Always, my boy. Tyler sat in the chair across from William's desk. Grandpa, I've been thinking about the future. What kind of future? When I graduate high school, I want to study business to help you with the social projects. Tyler, you still have time to decide your career. I've already decided. I want to follow your example, Grandpa. I want to learn how to use resources to help people. William was moved. My boy, nothing would make me prouder. But are you sure? Absolutely. I've seen how you've changed so many lives. I want to continue that work when you can't anymore. Tyler, I'll be able to for many more years. I know, but when I'm ready, I want us to work together. A grandfather-grandson partnership. It would be a dream come true, Tyler. So it's settled. William extended his hand to Tyler, who shook it firmly. Settled. Partners for life. Partners and family for life, Tyler corrected. The best combination possible. End of story. Tell us what you thought of this touching story and where you're watching from. Do you think Tyler made the right choice by protecting William? Leave your honest opinion in the comments. We love hearing what you think. Don't forget to like and, most importantly, subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other heartfelt stories like this one.